All right, guys. I suspect a lot of you might have been waiting for this video. So, there was one hot candidate right from the start for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? A name that got mentioned from the fan base, I should say, very quickly in relation to this open head coaching search. That name is Eric Bieniemy. So today, guys, I want to take just a little bit of your time and I want to talk about the candidacy of Eric Bieniemy here in Philadelphia, like while we have time before the Eagles make a hire. So, let's get to it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching us. Once again, guys, my name is Steven Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, guys, today's topic, we're talking about Eric Bieniemy. So, a lot of momentum here, early on in the cycle. I know that Eric is definitely a fan favorite. He's a guy that has experience in Philadelphia. He came here under Reed in '99. He was actually one of the few guys. I think we really had experience at the running back room when he got here in '99 as a player. But I mean, didn't have a long-standing career in Philadelphia. He left after '99, and then he found his way back on Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs staff. So, this is a guy that would definitely be coming down from that Andy Reid tree. We all know what Andy Reid is, guys. We know that Andy Reid he's a mix of the Air Coryell kind of concepts mixed in with some of that traditional West Coast. So you got elements of the horizontal offense and the vertical offense, all kind of mixed in together. It's very much a college system. Let's not confuse it. This is one of the few successful coaches that kind of brought in a college system and made it work from the NFL's perspective. So, there is that to kind of look into with this, guys. But look, Eric Bieniemy, interesting guy. Does he call plays? Does he not call plays? Does it matter if you call plays for a head coaching job? I mean, is he going to be an executive type to where he wouldn't really be calling plays anyways for the Eagles, or would he be more of a Doug Peterson style to where he would be your head coach and he would also kind of serve as your play caller? I don't know. Hard to say, guys, right? But without further ado, let's talk a little about that Kansas City offense. I'll give you guys a few things to kind of consider when it comes to the Kansas City offense, all right? So, let's get it. You guys might not be surprised to hear this, but the way that Doug Peterson favors spread concepts, which, Andy's very much, he's into spreading the field, but, Doug Peterson was much more of a traditionalist to the spread compared to Andy Reid. Not that he's a traditionalist, but compared to Reid, he is. So you had things like the sail concept, right? You had things like the mesh concept. When we looked at the offensive concepts of Doug Peterson, where I would easily show you things like that about Doug Peterson when I look at Andy Reid and his disciples. So when I look at guys like Mike Kafka and I look at guys like Eric Bieniemy, and we're focused on Eric Bieniemy here today, what you're going to see in place of those two type of route designs is what I would call probably your Y cross. Y cross is easy to explain, guys. I don't really probably need to show you that one. It's where your tight end's on one side of the field or your wide receiver, and then you have another receiver that's normally either in a 3x1 set on the opposite side, and basically the tight end goes under him, receiver goes over it. Your first read, traditionally speaking, is the tight end, but obviously you can build off reads from that. That's your Y cross. And then on top of that, you have what they call the all-go route, which you guys kind of saw that last week. This past Sunday, they were showing that play over and over again. That's that little action where you see Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill comes kind of across the formation like that to get the plays. So you got two vertical routes on one side, and then you got Tyreek Hill coming across the other side. As you might notice from what I just said here, it's probably not surprising to you guys that this would lead you to expect that they play a lot of 11-man personnel, and they do. From my numbers, I want to say that I think I had them tied for 5th overall in terms of 11-man personnel utilization. They were somewhere around like 72% or so. I don't know if it's exactly 5. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, guys, but I do know this about them. It was clearly top 10, and I'm pretty sure it was top 5. When we look at the like other formations they use, they'll use a little 12-man personnel. 12-man personnel is their next dominant set, 2 tight ends. And then you'll see them do some things like 13-man personnel here and there. They'll go big. That's kind of like, just like Doug, that's their big formation. But I will say they were probably a little more a little bit more willing to use things like two-back sets. Like about 6% of their plays roughly came out of some form of the two-back set, whether it was 20-man, 21-man, or 22-man personnel. They use some two-back sets. Past that, guys, like what else can I tell you about this offense? RPO heavy, right? I won't say that this is a play action heavy offense, but RPO especially. Like, yeah, it's like the second highest in the league. I think I told you guys even in yesterday's video, I want to say they have like 96 or 97 RPOs on the year. And let's keep in mind those RPOs are really only registering on this particular stat I'm showing you when the ball's thrown, not necessarily when the quarterback makes the decision to hand it off and not throw it. So, it's still argumentative in terms of like who actually is the most dominant. It just might be one team, their quarterback, likes to throw it a little more out of that type of formation. You can see everything they do from the running game based upon that RPO. They love to do outside zone with the RPO, which is kind of like this play here. And then in addition to that, guys, they like to do some inside zone. Like they're definitely a zone running offense, guys. Like heavy zone running. That's how they like to operate. I will say that there are some subtle differences between Doug Peterson's offense and what we would see here probably from Eric Bieniemy. I think Eric Bieniemy is probably a little more West Coast traditionalist, while Doug was a little more heavier in comparison with the spread concepts. But nonetheless, we're not talking about drastically different worlds. So, all right, guys, let me move past the topic of what we're talking about right now. Let me get into more external forces around Eric Bieniemy. Final concluding thoughts here on Eric Bieniemy. To begin with, I am of the opinion that Eric Bieniemy should have been taken much more seriously than it appears he has been thus far. Listen, things aren't complete yet. It looks like Josh McDaniels is going to be the head football coach. Nothing is over until it's over. You guys know how that is, right? There are a couple of good candidates that the Eagles put a request for today when I'm filming this on Tuesday, guys, that are really good candidates. I would love to see what they, hear what they say and see some of the buzz that comes out of a meeting with these guys. Like, to be honest with you, Nick Sirianni, the offensive coordinator for the Colts. Guys, I really like what he does. That's a matchup guy. He likes to take advantage of matchups against defenses. Like, that's a guy that I would love to hear them talk, hear what's being said there. Dennis Allen of the Saints. Like, yes, you have to have an offensive coordinator. You have to come up with a guy that's a quarterback guru who can coach this quarterback if you're going to be a defensive guy and get this job. But he's done a heck of a job with the Saints on that defense. Like, you got to give that guy credit. Like, that's a guy that I think deserves attention. I also, I think Bieniemy should have a lot more consideration. If you go back, there was this tweet from Will Blackman last year during the playoffs against the Texans, ironically, to where he basically tweets out this picture of Eric Bieniemy clearly calling plays. And he was like, then he tweets out the caption on that, something along the lines of like, Eric Bieniemy never calls plays. Basically alluding to the fact that he's clearly calling plays. And then you get like Andy Reid's statements that followed that, where he was just basically saying, guys, he said, listen, we just jump in and go. I've always been that way with it. I think it's important that everybody's on the same page and involved with it. So I don't really care who's calling it or not calling it. I just want to make sure that it gets called, and that we've got good plays to call from. That's where I put my energy. Like, just judging the tea leaves here, like, clearly to me, and mind you, maybe they switch things up. Maybe it varies game by game, the situation of when guys call plays. I don't know, because I don't know Kansas City's offense like that. I don't know their coaching staff more particular, I should say, like that. But I know Reid, but I don't know the system since he's left here. I don't know the way he's delegating things since he left here. Maybe they switch it up, but I would probably feel comfortable saying that he's more than likely calling the 2-minute offense there. So he has clear experience, right? I mean, let's just be honest, guys. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, I think Eric Bieniemy, like you could say nitpick things and say that he hasn't had enough time, putting together passing plays, like as a passing coordinator. He's mostly worked on the running side of things. I mean, play design is play design, guys. He knows how to design passing plays. Like, he's been around guys long enough to pick that up. Like, I think people make too much of that, but tell me your opinion down below. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Thank y'all once again, man. Appreciate the time.